Hey everybody, this is Sally Griffin, aka Millionaire Yogi, and I help visionaries become world-changing influencers. I wanted to speak to you today because it is the new moon in Virgo, and it starts a cycle of what I actually believe is a cycle of prosperity that goes all the way down to the end of the year. And if we set our intentions right, and we have right thought, right speech, right vision, we have the potential to really bring in the most amazing, prosperous cycle right now. And so sometimes you need a little reminder of this. I want to tell you a little bit about what I'm perceiving going on in the world right now. There was a time when a lot of the way that I worked was considered unusual, to say the least, out there. A lot of the work that I did and do as a high priestess of Wicca and also as a yogi, so it's really combined for me, was quite hidden, and it took people a while to get there with it. But now, because I'm working in the world of spiritual business, and initially when I started that, it was I wanted to champion people in the alternative worlds, so like yoga and Pilates and healers and people who are on that kind of path. And I wanted to be able to teach them how to draw on the abundance that is in other worlds, such as, say, banking, finance, accountancy. So it used to be that we would think of these things as very different. You know, on the one hand, there's this sort of straight world of finance, business, and all of that, quite masculine. And then on the other side and the other world, it was all feminine and healing and peaceful, and you know what I mean. And now what's happening is more and more there is a call for people asking me, certainly in my own world, from the world of extreme masculine, banking, law, accountancy, and property management, say, asking to use the tools of the spiritual in order to enhance their journey and to make them super successful. So where I was when I started working in this field, which was instinctual and a long time ago, and with one intention, which was to work for people in the alternative world, now what's happening is the very straight world wants to know the alternative secrets to have a better life. So I'm slightly changing what I'm teaching. It means that some of the things that are being required, when we look at this time in history, it's a very interesting time because we're starting to talk about the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and there is no separation. We know that anyway, but then we have so many examples of separation between cultures, race, gender, money, that we always feel that it's a real thing. What's starting to happen now is people in the alternative world are starting to create vast amounts of abundance and are starting to work in very strategic and interesting ways. And then you're hearing about people, thankfully, I'm hearing about people like the billionaire who is now buying up 15% of the land of the planet. He's aiming actually for 30%. He's starting with 15%, and a lot of that is indigenous lands. He's a billionaire, and he's been giving millions for years to buy up land and to actually give it back to original peoples, and then to start working with sustainable sourcing of everything so that we would support our beautiful planet and Mother Earth to getting back on her feet. She's under attack right now. I think that's another reason why many of us are coming together at this time and feeling, we really, when we may have sat back before, now we cannot. It's either align yourself with somebody who is speaking on behalf of something amazing, or it's your time, right? Which is all the work of influencers. You cannot hide at this time. There is too much of an emergency going on for us to be passive and sit back and hope that it will go away. It won't. And so we need you. And one of the things that I've noticed is, having worked in the spiritual world for many, many years, at least 30 years, and I've married several different systems up. So one is yoga. Been studying that for years. I've stopped teaching, which is actually a blessing for me because now I can do more. I can experience more yoga, but I have a wealth of knowledge on that yogic path, and that really speaks to many of the people I want to work with. Then I have a very long history, at least 20, I think it's now 28 years of working in Wicca, and that is a tantric path, but it is a Celtic system. In short, it really is like the ancient healers of the land, and specifically I work with, Ireland, Scottish, English ancestry, and those kind of practices. And it would have been the medicine, really, of this land. And so when you marry those two things, you've got yoga and all the wealth of knowledge from the East, and then from this land, the wealth of knowledge from the West coming together. And it's a tantric path, so it includes always working with, doesn't matter about your sexuality, but you will always work with the opposite of what you are. So there's a polarity, and we're working men and women together. And it's really important right now that we include, as women, we include men, and we include the divine masculine as an energy regardless of your sexuality. So that's a distinction that I think is really important for people. So what can we do on this new moon? Well, it's the beginning of a cycle that will go all the way to the end of the year. It's Moon in Virgo, so it's quite analytical. In fact, its catchphrase is I analyze. And when I analyze, it's a time to scan your body, to check yourself out, to check your living conditions, to look at things really with detail. Sometimes it's much more like, the high perspective of the eagle flying over. This is not that. This is get down to the nitty-gritty. And there is something from other systems that I'm observing right now, which is about collaboration. So when we think about collaboration, it used to be competition, that somehow if you were able to, speak openly with other people who are working aligned on your path, that, you would feel like you might lose some energy somehow. Now you're going to gain a lot of energy. So collaboration is at the forefront of this period of time. With the I analyze energy, it's time to really go through self-care. What do you need to sustain yourself on this journey? And for a lot of people, it's I need more time. I need more space to myself. It's an internal kind of mechanism that you need more of. And it will be one of the best times to bring in healing practices. So it's things like if your business is not sustainable yet and you're finding that you're always losing energy every time you think about, another payment or whatever, well then think about the business in terms of your physical body. Where is your physical body needing some attention? And start to see this symbolic, harmonious relationship between everything that you do. You are your business. And I say it over and over again, because however you behave towards yourself and to the people around you and what you're experiencing is the same level of power or potential or also downfall that you'll experience in the world. So it's really important right now to see that coexisting, that we are as powerful as we can be, with attention to detail to our own lives. It's this simple. If you can heal and deal with the things in your own life, then you can teach it. Then you can take it out to the world. But imagine if you're somebody who's trying to be an influencer and there's something that you are not dealing with. And so it's this consistent white elephant in the room. So that will be behind how you speak. It will be a weakness in one of the elements in the way that you operate. Your operating system will have like a bug in it, if you like a virus in it that will show up all the time, and you will lose power. So right now we can do some amazing work on ourselves to really look through our lives with great detail. And when you do that, and think of this as the beginning of a cycle, which is going to go all the way, definitely for a month, but all the way, I would say, to Christmas. And on the business level, this is a cycle which you're thinking about. It's going to be all about communicating, all about then marketing, all about inspiration. And then in the latter part of the year, it's going to be sales and offers, because that's what happens around Black Friday and Christmas and then New Year. So this period right now is like, get your house in order, get your body in order, get the things that you really need to nourish yourself along the path. Sometimes you just need a good massage, or you need a good conversation with a friend, and to be open and honest about really where things are for you. And other times it's really quite detailed, like you need a proper health check. You need to do some major healing on yourself. You know, so there's a scale of work that we need to do, but we really are representing ourselves right now in business. And I'll tell you another thing that I've noticed. A lot of people who are coming forward right now are very interested, even if they've got a super straight business and message on one level, they're very interested in integrating healing elements into it. And so if you are a healer, or you're somebody who is teaching the way I teach, which is all the systems that I know from all the spiritual work I do, I bring directly into business. And so, you know, I've said this before, but I'll say it again for those who don't know me. I am really anti-corporate. I'm that strong on it. I think it's a terrible system that was created in the Industrial Revolution to serve 1% of the population, and it kept certain people, usually white men, in money, and then everybody else was basically in a form of slavery to just work and work and work, always in debt, always waiting till the end of your life to live your life. And then often, particularly with men, they would die within 2 years of retirement, because you wait and wait and wait, you know, not really living your life, long hours, poor pay. That was part of it. And when we look at corporate life now, it really has that energy of dog eat dog. You're meant to separate your personal life from your business life. It's not holistic. It has no energy of the person in there. It's just like you're a machine. And now it's time for a reset. It really is. And this is a great moment in your life to think, it's time for a reset. What isn't working here? And if you are burned out, there are a few people I've been speaking to recently who have declared that they want to leave their corporate job. And then the fear that comes up around it, it's like, how will I survive? Well, I'll tell you how you'll survive. You start to learn some other tricks, because I haven't been in corporate for years. I've carved out a very different kind of niche, and the way that I operate now and how it's starting to flow and work so well is I do all the basics that mean I have a happy life. And once that's handled, then I'm able to ramp up to really astonishing levels. But the key is happiness. And so if you're not happy in your corporate job, then you need to leave it. And that you can do a transition over from one thing to another. You don't need to feel like the clutches of like desperate fear that you're suddenly going to fail or fall on your butt the minute that you take a different step. There are people like myself, and I know others, who are teaching alternative ways of life and to be super abundant. One of the things that I would invite you to do at this time is to start to think about truly what makes you happy, and mark it out, write it down, start to feel into it. If any of you want a specific meditation, which I do with all my clients, when I start working with them, I often do this as the first point of call when I'm speaking to them, to get really clear on who they are and what makes them happy. Once we have that, we can create anything. It's actually, the business is just a piece of cake on top of that, because what you're dealing with is something that truly represents the person and what makes them super happy in life, rather than the grind and being told, you know, basically you will do this job and you will do it for the rest of your life. You will have not much time for your family or your loved ones or yourself. And, you know, it's a sellout. It's a sellout on self. So I wanted to just inspire you to start doing the work of the Wheel of the Year, which is how I operate. It's an ancient system, and we look at each season, each moon, each solar occasion as a reminder, if you like, to remember what is the most important thing to take care of at any given time. And right now, it is your personal health. It's detail, detail, detail. So on this new moon, I'm going to just remind you, oh, I hear a squeaky cat somewhere, of the detail of your life. Go into those nooks and crannies. Look at what needs to be dealt with, and don't be afraid to do it. Open the bills that you've been afraid to look at. Open them, look at them, get clear. And everything, if you start with this cycle right now, is going to just roll on. So I'm going to give you more tips of how to keep in tune with it, and wishing you just the happiest new moon, happiest new moon in Virgo at this time that's leading us into a very fast-paced autumn. And it's going to be like a blast come September, so 2 days away from that. So take care of yourself, start to do the things that really you're enjoying, and I'll reconnect with you and give you some more guidance shortly. Namaste. So much love.